Okay, I'm pretty excited about this video. I get to debut the calculator that I've been working really hard on. It's changed the way that I've run through numbers. It's for long term, for stabilized 5 and up properties, for Padsplit, for flips, even BRRRR and Airbnb, you can run through numbers to see if things make sense. So pretty excited about it. I think that everything like the math, is complex and pretty complex in some areas, and everything is appears to be working pretty well. So I'm gonna run through this because if you're watching this video, you probably downloaded the calculator from my website. So I'm going to basically explain how it works, and I'll try to make it not as boring as possible because we're talking about a calculator and numbers here. So uh, let me share my screen here. There we go. Okay, so I can go ahead and expand this out a little bit. Okay, so here we are. Basically, right here, we're gonna put in, I'm just gonna run a really quick deal here, and then you can put a link to a property, and we're just gonna put a random link in here. It'll maintain, you know, so you can pull it up whenever you need to. We're just gonna put the price in here. It's an arbitrary number, $500,000. And ARV here is, I don't think we're gonna do an ARV here actually. So we're just gonna skip past that. Let's say we'll put in $50,000 into the property as a rehab budget. Buyer's closing costs, we'll put 1.5%. This is a loan, it's not cash, and this is principal and interest. This is not an interest-only loan. If you want to, you can do that. Everything seems to be working for the interest only as well. So we'll do 20% down, and then here you see that's calculating the loan amount, the amount down, interest rate 6.5, term. So all this should be pretty intuitive. That was kind of the goal. And you can run through and see so far the total money invested, and I just kept a notes column to basically, remind you for what each thing, because it can be a lot, especially as we get further in. Here's where you can edit furnishing costs for Padsplit or Airbnb. I don't really see the need to furnish a long-term rental or a flip or anything like that. So if there's other costs added into your rehab budget, is probably what I would do. You can go ahead and set your long-term, short-term, and Padsplit property management fees here, and it won't change unless you change it. And we have base holding costs. Base holding costs are property taxes, insurance, and HOA, and your variable holding costs are right here. So I know this is kind of like overwhelming a little bit, but it should be pretty simple and obvious. You have long-term, short-term, Padsplit, flips. You can adjust these, and they will stay unless you change them. So just change all the columns and cells in yellow. If you need to override your taxes, like let's say your taxes are going to be way higher, you can put it right here and it'll change it right there. And then you delete this if you're done, and it'll keep the algorithm at 1.7% or 1% for that. So let's just go ahead and skip around. The rest of it you can figure out. One of the things I like is you can enter in rents. Let's just say your rents here are like $3,800 a month. It'll show you if you're break even and factors all expenses in, holding costs, reserves, all of it, property management fee. So, and vacancy, of course. EGI is gross rents after vacancy. So, yes, stabilized scenario, if you want to add this in, it'll adjust. Let's say you get your rents up to $5,000 a month. The implied value for your property at a 5.5 cap is $589,000, but you drop that to a 5%, and your property, if it was a 5 or more unit, be $650,000 almost. Now we're gonna go to Padsplit. This is the one I'm most like. I love the most, really, because you can type in, okay, we're gonna get 10 bedrooms in this house, and we'll assume that average move-outs per year is about, let's say each person stays about a year. So you have about 10 move outs per year because there's 10 rooms. So you have $650 cash flow per month, which is it's pretty fantastic. You can look at all the numbers here and verify everything for yourself, run it through ChatGPT if you wanted. It'll also tell you your total cash invested, your all-in basis, your total cash. So this is like the total money that you would have to bring to the table through the down payment, closing cost, points, rehab, setup. And then your cap, cash on cash, all this stuff right here. And the IRR and your total return on investment is going to come from the master summary page, which we'll go over later. Airbnb, there's all these numbers you can change right here. I don't use Airbnb as much, but let's say it's like 325 a night or something. Actually, this would be probably closer to 420 a night. You can set your occupancy depending on the area. You can pull some of these metrics from AirDNA, and that'll really help guide you into what your average will be. But you can see here, not I wouldn't say it's a good investment, right? Because there's not a whole lot of room for safety, but we have factored in all the reserves and everything, and perhaps the reserves are too high. You can adjust these as well. Everything in gray is a formula. You don't want to change that. Same thing with down here, because I have some scripts involved to print to PDF and move things around. So you really don't want to change any of the tab names down here. And then here's the BRRRR. So BRRRR is interesting because you can pull, it's really set up to pull numbers from one of the other rental strategies. So whether it's an Airbnb, Padsplit, or long-term rental, it'll take those numbers. So like let's pull the Padsplit. It's pulling all these numbers right here into the BRRRR, and let's see, we do need an ARV for this to actually work. So we'll just put in 550 because that's basically the reno plus the purchase price. And you can kind of see the cash flow is significantly less. Well, it's not significant, but I don't think I figured, I don't think that I have purchase interest rate. I need to add that in there. So let's say you buy hard money at 11%. And it's going to factor in your holding costs for the 6-month period. And it's going to really, here's your target loan to value. So if you want to pull out, oh, sorry, I don't know what that was. If you want to pull out some of your money once you've done the work, like let's say your bank will give you an 80%, you can change that. But I don't think that's really realistic right now. It's probably 75, maybe even 70. But you can change that. And this is your target refi interest rate and your closing costs with the lender to do that. So yeah, you'll see right here, this is not really much of a difference. What's really eating into this is the fact that you're factoring in a lot of extra closing costs and holding costs for 6 months. Normally, let's say the refi was like, or I'm sorry, the ARV was like $750,000. Then you'll see you're really trying to pull out a lot of that value you created, and you can see that the rents are actually below negative because you pulled too much out and the loan's too big for the rents to handle. So anyway, you can use that as a guide. I found it very, very helpful myself. Okay, next we'll go to flip. Pretty simple. Yeah, I don't really need a. You can figure that out yourself. And here's where everything pulls from. I don't have the IRR into the Airbnb side yet, but I have into Padsplit and long-term. Airbnb will be out like tomorrow. But basically, you will set your hold period. So if you're holding for 5 or 10 years, you can set that up. It adjusts all these numbers, and it'll basically show you the comparison of every single one of your strategies for cap, cash on cash, DSCR, all this stuff. And I even pulled, well, anyway, you can see right here, IRR definitely changed. IRR on this one is really good over 10 years. I mean, it could be better. 11.5% isn't great, but this is kind of a fake deal anyway. I don't really have, this isn't like a real deal I'm putting in. So, yeah, Padsplit we like to see above 14, 15%. And then you can set your NOI. So the NOI is obviously the rents and your net operating income. So it's like the expenses and rents. And your property appreciation. So if your property actually appreciates, we can look at historical comps to determine over the last 15, 20 years how much a property tends to grow, and then do that by that number, and then the NOI is just an average. Of course, it affects the well, I already told you the selling costs. You can change that to whatever number, but you're looking at closing costs with title company, and you're looking at paying commissions for two agents. So you can set that to what you think it's worth. And then you have a little, nice little chart here that shows you the difference between all of them. And again, this is a fake deal, so this is maybe not super helpful. But I'm gonna change this back to 5 because I kind of like that as like a base. See what that looks like. And the best thing here is you can print a PDF. It'll run this script, and it'll print off every single one of these. So give it a second. It'll export this PDF for you. It'll even input it into your drive folder for you, a specific drive folder. There is a little bit of setup for that, but if you don't want the drive folder, just click download here. And it fits it all, each tab on one page, and you can download it. So just an easy way to save your deals. It's nicely titled at the top and dated. And if you don't want to, that's too much. For most people, what you might want to do if you're just looking at long-term or just looking at Padsplit, just click the PDF button on that particular page, and it'll just spit out a 3-page PDF for the purchase, Padsplit, and master summary. And I'll show you what that one looks like as well. And the great thing about the links here, I didn't realize this when I did it, but you can actually click this, and it'll take you right to the property. So that link stays clickable on these PDFs. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions about the PDF or the calculator, let me know. If you see anything weird about it, let me know. I guess the last thing I'll tell you is like the purple fields pull from the purchase page, and yellows are inputs, and grays are calculations. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.